Former England defender and Sky Sports pundit Jamie Carragher joins us live now for more reaction to this. And Jamie, when we spoke to you yesterday, you strongly defended Southgate. Is it disappointing that he's taken the decision to walk away now?
No, it's his decision. 8 years as England manager is a long time, over 100 games, so he's had a good stint at it. So, no, listen, it's down to Gareth, and if he feels that's right for himself, his family, the team going forward as well, you got to respect his decision, because as I said, obviously yesterday, he's done a brilliant job, and I think it's always funny, really. I think when you're in the job, you get a lot of criticism and people questioning things, and as soon as you retire or leave a job, I found that myself when I was a player. When I retired, I was getting a lot of stick the last couple of years. When I was playing, I was too old, I was finished. As soon as you retire, everyone tells you how great you are. So Gareth Southgate will be getting a lot more pats on the back now today and over the next sort of few weeks and months, as people sort of look back at the great job that he did.
And in terms of that timing, do you think there's an argument that he could have perhaps taken a little break, had a bit of time to think about it, rather than taking it so quickly after the final?
Well, I don't think he has taken the decision quickly. This will have been something in his mind for maybe the last 12 months. I don't think this is a rushed decision straight after the game. He's probably known before the tournament he's going to leave, come what may. So even if England would have won the trophy at the weekend, I still think he probably would have walked away. So I think this is something that he'll have spoken to his family, and the FA would have been aware about as well going into the tournament. So I don't think it's a rushed decision. I think this is something that's probably been in the back of his mind for a long time. And I think it's something he probably he mentioned, I think, before the tournament in an interview somewhere as well, that, basically it was pretty certain, no matter what, that he was going to move on.
And he's openly spoken about the impact that the criticism has had on him. Do you think that has been a big factor in this? Has it just taken its toll?
Yeah, but that's the same with any manager. I remember that at my time at sort of Liverpool with Rafa Benitez and Gerard Howe. Eventually, the job just becomes on top of them, really. And, that energy that they had to sort of fight all those fires that they've got to fight. And Gareth would have been the same when he first gets the England job. You're full of that sort of energy, belief that you can do things, change things, win a tournament, bring young players through. And I think after 8 years, I think you just get worn down and sort of knocked about a bit. And in the end, you probably just think, I haven't quite got the energy for this anymore. And it's probably something similar as well when you look at Jurgen Klopp moving on from Liverpool. He's not stopped in management. I'm sure Gareth's not finished in management as well. So it's just, 8 years is a long time as a manager in the one job. It's taken its toll, and you probably just need 12 months out.
And it's been 8 years. It's really important to remember where England were back in 2016. He's led them to back-to-back Euro finals, a World Cup semi-final. Where do you think he ranks in terms of England's greatest managers?
Well, he's just behind Sir Alf Ramsey because, he won the trophy, he got England over the line. There was talk actually before the game that I think, if you look at Gareth's record, he was England's most successful manager. Well, I didn't agree with that. In terms, you've got to win the trophy if another guy's already won that, the World Cup. So it will always be Sir Alf, but he definitely comes behind him. And when I think of other England managers that we look back on fondly, you think of sort of Terry Venables of my era and Bobby Robson before that. And I always wonder what would have been like for them if social media was about, because when you actually look at what Gareth achieves, he's achieved more than those two managers who were thought of so highly, and rightly so. But, what he's achieved over 4 tournaments is... puts him a long way away from any other England manager for me, and the closest to Alf Ramsey.
And a lot of talk about the culture that he developed behind the scenes as well. Do you think those changes that he made off the pitch have been just as important as what he's done on it?
Yes, I do. I think he's provided a culture with England where it feels like a club mentality, almost feels like Team England. And whether that's just down to Gareth or the whole sort of St George's Park and the feeling that all the England teams are together at that base, they work with each other. So that wasn't there before. So I think that's probably helped it as well. But I actually think that spirit, togetherness that Gareth has built up in his squad over the last 8 years is the reason why we got to the final, because we know we didn't play to our potential, but we still got to the final. And that is a mark of good teams. When you look at teams who we've seen in the Premier League or in the Champions League, English teams who find a way to get over the line, that's always been a positive. Now, I know the performances haven't been there this tournament, but, what Gareth created and also the changes from the bench that he made, that he's been heavily criticised for, and at times rightly so. But, I think a lot of the changes he made in this tournament proved decisive And I think that, along with the spirit and togetherness of the group, what he's created over 8 years, is the reason why we got to the final, because we know we didn't put in performances that normally get you to that stage of a tournament.
And we heard a lot of the players openly talking about the kind of special relationship that they had with Gareth Southgate. And we heard you saying at some point that you felt the players perhaps let him down a little bit during the tournament. Do you think it was starting to feel like the players perhaps need a new voice?
No, I don't think so. When you listen to what the players saying, and I know when you ask a player, he's always going to speak highly of the manager. That's normal, I get that. But I think when you listen to the players speak about Gareth, there's a little bit more than what you hear them normally say about managers. And in terms of the players letting the manager down, I don't think they let the manager down. You only let the manager down when your attitude's not right and you're not giving it everything. It was just that players didn't quite perform to the potential and the ability that we know that they have. And some people's feeling out there is that's the manager's fault. For me, it's not. That's all it is. It's not about they've let the manager down. They've been fantastic, these players, over the last 3 tournaments for Gareth Southgate. It just, when push came to shove in this tournament, whether it was the end of a long season, whether it just didn't quite happen, whether the team Gareth picked, he picked too many players who were similar. That was certainly a gripe of mine in the early games as well. But, no one's let anybody down. It's just that, some of our best players didn't play at their best, and that's, that can happen.
And of course, talk now turning to a successor. I mean, a lot of people using this phrase, be careful what you wish for, because actually, do you think anyone is going to want to follow in Southgate's footsteps, knowing that they'll essentially need to win a trophy to better what he's achieved?
Yeah, I said that yesterday when I come on. I think, managers will be looking at it and thinking, you look at what's happened to Gareth over the 4 tournaments and the sort of stick he was getting at times in this last tournament, and the 4 tournaments we've had. I mean, every one of them has been a success. There hasn't been one where we've gone out in the group stage or gone out the last 16. And that happens. It's happened in the past. It'll happen in the future. But I also think, managers will be looking at the group of players that England have got. And, rightly, you could say England's squad that they have right now can go up against the best nations in Europe and the best nations in the world. So it does give you an opportunity. I think, obviously, the next one being in America, that brings, obviously, Brazil and Argentina into it. But I think the Euros after that is in England. So that gives you a great opportunity. More often than not, a team who host the tournament seem to do well. So I think that gives the next manager a real opportunity, these next 2 tournaments, to go far.
And what kind of manager would you like to see take over? Of course, Eddie Howe, Graham Potter, high up on England's shortlist. Who would you like to see take the job?
I think Eddie Howe is the front runner by a long way. I've obviously seen the other 3 or 4 names that have been mentioned, but I think Eddie Howe. I think he would bring to England what Gareth brings in terms of how he deals with the media. He's very, calm, collected individual. He's done certainly 2 very good jobs at Bournemouth and Newcastle as well, and that's something that Gareth hadn't done. I always felt that hurt Gareth in the eyes maybe of the public a little bit, in that he had no pedigree in management. Well, certainly Eddie Howe's got that. I think he's a fantastic coach. He's developed young players brilliantly at Bournemouth and Newcastle. And if you were describing Eddie Howe as a coach, he's certainly more of an attacking coach than a defensive coach. And again, that was something that was thrown at Gareth at times. I felt that was unfair. But no, I think Eddie Howe is the best man for the job by a street.
You touched on Jurgen Klopp a little earlier, of course, out of a job at the moment. Do you think international football would appeal to him? Do you think it needs to be an Englishman?
For me, yes. I mean, I'm not a believer in foreign managers managing England. It's nothing against foreigners. I think what foreign managers and players have done to the Premier League is amazing. It basically made what our league is today, which is the envy of the world. People are always looking at the Premier League because we've got the best players and the best managers, the best infrastructure, stadiums, everything. It's fantastic. But we're not an emerging nation. We're England. And I know we've only won 1 trophy, but other countries on our level we see, whether that's Italy, Spain, Germany, these type of nations, they don't have foreign managers. We don't need a foreign manager. We've done it before. I was involved in those times under Sven and Fabio Capello. It wasn't great. It was not a patch on what Gareth Southgate's done. And Gareth Southgate's got no pedigree in management before he got the job. So I think that tells you in itself that it's not about going and getting the best manager in club football. Club football is completely different to international football. Spain have just won the tournament with a coach who no one really knows. I think even Argentina before that, with basically a former player who's had a little dabble in coaching or management. So I'm not a big believer in that you have to go and get a Pep Guardiola or a Jurgen Klopp and that'll make the difference. International football is knockout football. If you look at the Champions League, Pep Guardiola doesn't win it every year, even though he's the best manager and he's probably got the best team, because, things can go awry, things can happen. You need a lot of luck to win a Champions League or a tournament, as I said, in knockout football. But no, we're England. We should be having an English coach. And for me, as I said yesterday, international football for me is more about the players than it is about the manager.
What about Gareth Southgate himself then and his next steps? Obviously, hopefully he's going to be taking a bit of a holiday now, but could you see him getting a big Premier League job? Do you see him staying in international football?
No, I think he'd want to go into the club game. I don't see him getting a big one, a big Premier League job. I don't, if I'm being totally honest. I've just said the club game's different from international football and vice versa. Gareth has got a small amount of experience at Middlesbrough, but it didn't go particularly well. I think he'll get a Premier League job, but I think it would probably be in the lower half of the table. I don't think it'd be a team in Europe. I might be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong in saying that. But no, I think Gareth can get a Premier League job, but I think it'll be as I said, maybe not a team fighting relegation, but maybe a mid-table team. And he's obviously got history, a lot of clubs as well, through his playing career, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace as well, to name two. So I'm sure there'll be options for him, because I think sensible football people realise the job that he's done for England.
And I was chatting to Gary Neville just a little while ago. He said that he could envisage him getting an FA job, going upstairs almost. Do you think you could see that as a good fit? And then Cavi Solikol, our reporter, was saying that he actually could end up back at England one day managing the team again.
No, I don't see that on both counts, really. I mean, he's walking away from the job now when England's in probably one of the best positions they've ever been in. They've got great young players, so, it's tough to toll on. I don't see him going back as the England manager. Being part of the FA. I mean, listen, that could be something in the future, because I'm sure he'll be respected very highly at, the FA in St George's Park, and they'll want to tap into the experience he's gained over the last 8 years. But I think Gareth Southgate, after a short break, he'll be ready to get back into sort of club football and show what he can do.
And will it be Sir Gareth? Do you think he should get knighted for his achievements?
No. I love Gareth Southgate. He's done a great job, but no, he shouldn't be knighted.
Jamie, it's always great to get your insight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.